No second chances, no support, and nowhere to go but the finish line. Day and night, non-stop, racing the clock as much as they race themselves, across 4 continents and countless challenges. The ultimate prize is simply surviving. The journey, the tears, and the triumphs. Welcome to Wild Races. New Zealand's natural beauty is only surpassed by the surprises that Mother Nature has in store for our races. This incredible landscape of rugged mountain ranges and barren hillsides give way to deep wind-torn valleys and impenetrable forests. Beware though, as even under the clearest of skies, our teams face some insurmountable challenges just ahead. Kiwi Team Seagate and Subway, forged in this very land, strike out at the sharp end of the first day. The rest of the field heave forward in chase. The first of our grueling treks takes our teams 54 kilometres across some of the most torturous terrain that the South Island has to offer. Over brutal mountain peaks, storm-swept valleys and wide exposed ravines. This is an early and unexpected challenge.
We need to make sure they carry the right gear required for the conditions up on the mountains.
The tent, sleeping bags, everyone's sleeping bags, everyone's waterproof jackets, waterproof trousers.
The conditions tonight could be anything from rain to snow, so we've got to make sure that they can stay warm and comfortable throughout the time if they have an emergency.
Got to get across onto this track system here for the first CP. So yeah, that's the first challenge.
Got a bit of a compulsory route through here for a few kilometres and then we head up into the hills, which we'll spend most of the night.
Bashing through bracken and blackberry and all sorts of rubbish. This and the second trek are going to be probably the defiant ones of the race.
We're about to head off to a 15-hour plus trek up into those wet mountain ranges up there.
We were sort of hoping to get a bit further through by dark, so it's going to be some pretty interesting nav going up over these saddles. Any trekking section during the night starts to extend the gaps between teams normally. There'll certainly be bigger gaps come the morning.
Up ahead, Kiwi Teams Seagate and Subway push each other hard, neither able to outdistance one another for the lead.
We've got a team in front of us here. We caught them relatively quickly, but we want to be on our own because we're heading into some pretty tricky nav. If we go off front, they'll just stick in behind us. So we're hoping that once we get off the track that they'll go one way and we can choose a different route because we don't want to be tour guide. We've got Chris here who's probably the best navigator in the sport, and unless we can get out on our own we can't really use our advantage. So yeah, we're just kind of cruising right now.
With physical abilities matched, Seagate utilises the most important technique in adventure racing, strategy. But further back, a real drama is unfolding.
There's a track just back there.
Yeah, drop track.
You were right with going past that?
The 4-wheel drive track to...
Just what is that?
Spotting Jojo.
Yeah, to get full pants to get an easy route through. Feeling a little bit crooked at the moment. Yeah, the guts is playing up, so I'm trying to hold down some food and just tick in, but I'm in a wee box at the moment. Just feels a bit wrong. We'll be pushing through either the start or the end of the mountain bike at least, just because if we start to sleep too early on, it kind of gets us into a bit of a bad habit.
life stuff. It drops, but just can't recover from these drops.
At the moment, underestimated how long this trip's going to be and might not have got enough food. So we're kind of trying to ration our food at the moment. Just to these two there's food running up.
We are climbing again. Hopefully for a good cause. Up to the checkpoint. It's been a long stage. Now getting up. Hope for the best up this mountain. Trying to work out how to get to 2.5. We're very close.
A little bit tired. Saw that earlier on. Find out what's
Don't go down. Don't go down. A long way away from the creek. Righto, John. Put it bluntly, we're lost. We've got no idea where we are. We are now following a river downstream and hoping that it will lead us to the main river and we can get our bearings and at least figure out where we are and get this race back on track. How's team emotions out of 5? 5 being the worst. I think everyone is 5. Okay. This is nightmare material.
The team's first night in the rugged New Zealand high country. For most, it will determine the fate of their race. Dawn breaks and the hours pass.
Team Subway, probably not in the best state. It's been a pretty long night.
On the first climb, yeah, it was beautiful, but we were sort of concentrating at that stage on how we would lose Subway.
Not long after CP4, Subway stopped to put jackets on, and we decided to basically try and go our own. So we literally bolted,
Just making sure we kept out of sight with no lights.
just as the final little bit of daylight was leaving us was when we made a break on Subway, and we were able to see without our lights, not well, but we could see. So we basically covered some ground pretty quick, rough ground, without lights. They knew that too. They knew our lights would be off, but we actually don't know how much time we've got. So we're hoping about 2 hours.
We saw Subway at the last checkpoint at the hut.
Yeah, they got in real difficulty. A classic situation up on that last mountain. We took a bit of a different route choice to the other teams where we'd seen them going basically straight up over the mountain, but the route that we decided before the race was to actually go around through the river systems. That was a lot further, but a bit less climb, and got out there. We did it for the first hour and a half, and then we sort of changed our route a little, climbed up high, got stuck coming down off the mountain through piles and piles of fallen trees. Spirits are pretty low, like it was, quite dangerous as well.
We seemed like we were moving so slowly across the terrain because it was so extreme that we thought, surely we'll get in here, and there'll be half a dozen teams in front of us. When the terrain's that tricky, the nav's that difficult, everybody has problems.
Definitely when you've been by yourself and you're a bit down and then you see a team or a team comes past you, it does make you get on a bit of a high. Especially the last night these two bits started running when they saw Subway. You could see they weren't real happy to see us. They made a mistake and then the next thing they're seeing a team was in front of them.
We had a bit of a frustrating evening and morning, mainly due to my navigation skills. Things were going okay, and then don't know whether it's just the lack of sleep or just the fact the navigation's been pretty full on in places that, I'll just get places and just end up totally disorientated, and just had real trouble kind of making good decisions after that. There's a lot of scree and things like that. Every now and again you sort of kick down a bigger rock and that, so probably the main thing we needed were helmets really. We're probably off the map for half an hour. Just the trail wound its way kind of off the map and then on the map, and it was a far different trail to one that's marked. Definitely impacting the speed at the moment, and probably the motivation too. That was probably some of the most technical navigation I've ever seen in an adventure race.
We came across some really tough sections. One in particular, it was really steep and we're descending down, and this storm had hit and just knocked over hundreds of trees. And it was such a huge area, and we got to the top of it and we'd already descended down for like quite a few hundred metres, and it was like, oh, what do we do? Do we try and go around it, crawl through it, climb over it?
The downside of getting tired is that you slow down and you start losing some intensity, but it's not really sensible to even try and sleep if it's cold and wet like that.
I pretty much just have a multi-sport background where we get to sleep at night and then start the next stage the next day. So I'm just experiencing what happens when you're operating on no sleep and exercising at a high intensity at the moment.
You reckon Catherine was carrying an axe and seen all sorts of stuff on the ground, and he saw a couple of clowns jump out behind the tree stumps and stuff?
I keep imagining the beech tree leaves a little cigarettes. My female teammate's carrying an axe, and I don't think it's appropriate that she be carrying an axe in such a race. And my mate over here keeps imagining it's licorice. She went down and picked some up before and tried to eat it. Things are getting a little bit nasty now.
Team Mountain Sciences had to withdraw from the race due to me. For me, for something to be wrong, it's got to really be wrong.
The next 81-kilometre mountain bike leg is both fast and furious as it winds tirelessly through rolling terrain. The course so far has seen Team Subway the first onto the trek, though they are far from the first to emerge. With some of the race favourites now finding the challenge far too tough, New Zealand equalises the field.
I was seeing sleep monsters pretty bad last night. I saw Santa Claus, clowns. I'd never experienced that before in my life, and it was kind of freaky.
It's much better now. The initial part wasn't too much riding. It was quite a lot of sort of picking our way around the river flats, but no, it's good. It's good now.
Last night, this morning, ice on the mat boards and ice in our socks, ice in our drink bottles. So it sun's up.
Man, it was cold. I don't know how cold it was, but we were pretty cold. We had all our gear on, all our water froze solid.
I've got very sensitive feet. When they were frozen last night, I was crying. Those two girls behind let me put my feet up their tops to warm them up. And that made me cry even more because they were thawing out.
I'm enjoying it. It's hard, like it's been long, legs are long and they're not sort of, easy going, but that's what makes good races.
Seagate remained consistent and forged hard out front whilst trying to set an unbeatable pace, which may prove the breaking point for many of their chasers.
So we're on our second mountain bike, team's charging.
Probably the most important thing we did to help overcome sleep deprivation, really just talking to each other a lot helps snap you out of that daze that you so often get into.
No, we're just sticking to our game plan, and we'll let them do what they want to do. We've got our plan and we'll see how that plays out.
First-timers Teams Mazda and Bivouac Colts begin to play a moving game of chess between their teams. On the surface, they work together. The reality is very different.
We've had damaged trailers, broke trailers. We've had hallucinations.
Oh yeah, God, some of the hallucinations have been cool fun. Saw a whole field of gravestones, which was not fun.
Ferries, huts.
Boys hurt last night. Emily's just ticking along.
Emily's been dragging the whole team. It's awesome. Tough girl. So good. Me and Willie and Josh have all had a down moment. So yeah, hopefully the last. But I'm sure we'll have another one.
We don't know where we are now in the field. Because after we had a sleep, we haven't really seen one team. So
we'll see what happens when we get to the CP. The issue for us is the cut-off zone. So we've got, I think it's tomorrow morning at 11:30 is the first cut-off. Strategy is just to go as efficiently and effectively as we can and nail it. Keeping us on edge, keeping it in mind, keeping us focused, which is a good thing.
Battling through the challenges from the night before, our teams work hard and press on to keep up the pace despite growing fatigue. With time cut-offs to reach certain sections of the course, the rest of the field push to their limits.
There's frost in the ground. It's probably 1 o'clock in the morning. Sal's bike computer just registered -3.
My teammates, where the hell are they? Told him to take off that way, but not to keep going forever, and he's just gone. There's no maps, no. There's no idea where he is. Oh, it was about 6 k's on sealed road. They can't be that far away. This is not a good look, is it? He's just had enough. Just wants to get to the TA.
It's his first race.
I was having a snooze. I just only left the tail light on so I could see it. This is harder than I expected. I mean, I did expect it to be easy, but this would be the toughest thing I've ever tried.
And then, the unthinkable.
We'd like to ask you the same thing.
What?
Asking you the same thing.
So you go like stink to the end of the road. We're not supposed to be there. So why I did that. Rode the fastest 7 k's of my life after being on a bike for 19 hours. I'm not impressed.
Yet another marathon trek awaits our teams, this time forging its way through an epic 48 kilometres of New Zealand's finest wilderness. With limits being pushed, the body comes apart, both mentally and physically. This journey is totally unforgiving.
To be honest, we haven't slept yet, and largely because we haven't felt like we've needed it.
I think we'll just take it as it comes, really, see how we go.
We're really lucky to have a really tough race here at home in New Zealand.
The more tricky it is, the more I'm excited.
This sport's not everyone's. It is fairly extreme.
Cold straight out of the can, so they're easy to eat and share them around with the team. Tastes good.
Tonight's a crucial night. We really can't afford to make any errors tonight, so because we're under time pressure to make the cut-off. So we're just going to hammer it tonight and hopefully not make any mistakes.
Well, Mazda, we don't know really what sort of state they're in, but we suspect that they've been pushing very hard to stay with us. We're not really concerned. Our race plans kept us fresh for this, so we're going to push because we really want to make the cut-off.
Having a panic attack for some reason.
It's all good.
It's probably just the pressure as well. I hate having a team right there, so I shouldn't even worry about it. But now I'm just like, oh, like.
It's all good.
It's probably just the pressure as well. I hate having a team right there, so I shouldn't. Seagate is not even. Seagate is like hasn't even come back yet. It's been 22 hours. You're like, holy moly, we could be out there for 30. It's just daunting, that's all. It's probably just daunting, overwhelming, daunting. That's probably the best word to describe how I feel.
It just didn't go that smoothly. All the tracks were in strange places. Everyone's in the same conditions, so I can't complain, can I?
How are you feeling? Scale of 1 to 10, get an answer. Feeling 6. Anything below a 6, you need some attention, really. And it just opens up communication and makes sure that we're all looking after each other.
Alina's been really sick and she had a bit of a fall on the first trek and she got really bad and made the call that she couldn't get through to the finish over the hill, so we're basically heading for the nearest town.
I think my body's just trying to protect itself or something. It's not working normally at the moment. So.
A devastating blow to a race favourite and a monumental shift to the leaderboard. Kiwi Team Seagate now drive to the lead with the downfall of their closest competition. Our remaining teams hold on to their positions and stay in contention, but for how long? Next week, no sleep, freezing conditions and the sheer stubbornness of the jagged New Zealand mountains take their toll. Join us for the conclusion of this truly amazing adventure.